Hello, welcome back to Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. I am, as always, Chat Show. Did you have yourself a nice Thanksgiving? Let's get right to it, shall we? We were away. We hope you had a good one. We've missed you horribly. We have a couple of guests lined up today that we're unbelievably excited about. And we're excited to be back, but everyone was away for Thanksgiving, and it was a big to-do, the whole celebration of I'm not sure what. But let's go over to some of the crew to get a little breakdown on how their Thanksgivings went. Sammy, you're up first. How was your Thanksgiving, buddy?
It was wonderful. Back in Jersey with my gal Eve.
In the New Jersey.
Old Jersey, actually. Went all the way to England. Yeah, we've got... am I back on stage?
Everything falls apart when J-Mac comes out.
What can you do?
I'll take that. Yeah, okay.
That's better. It's nice. No, it was wonderful. Wonderful trip. Wonderful food. My mother, of course, cooked for as if there were 10 times as many people there.
How many people do gather at the Levine Thanksgiving?
This was the largest we've had in a long time. I believe there were 8 of us.
So you're still at the kids' table?
8 of us. It's all the kids' table.
It's just one giant kids' table?
Yes. Yes, sir.
And was Eve present for this?
She was. She
and
was.
How did
well, they've met her before. They adore her. They think she's wonderful.
Well, it's the follow-up. The first meeting, you know, is everyone's on their best behavior.
Right.
It's really the follow-up that needs to be checked in on.
Yes, and my Nana was there and approved. So that's a big step.
That is a big step.
Nana's got to be in her late 70s?
Looks like a woman of 51, 52 to me, as far as I'm
So
concerned.
we shouldn't really discuss her age.
I don't know.
You're not comfortable.
I honestly don't know.
It's on a need-to-care basis for you?
I think it's on a need-to-know basis for her, and I don't need to know.
She's lost track, and it's none of your
I
damn
always forget
business.
my niece and nephew's age. Sorry, Jaden. She's probably watching.
She's
Wait a
12.
minute. Those are children. That's a
I
different
always
thing.
forget their ages.
They're
I'm
not
like,
vain.
I think one's 6. I don't remember.
Nice. So it was great.
It was great. You know, I also went to the roast.
Well, yeah. Quentin Tarantino roast.
The Quentin Tarantino
Friars
roast.
roast.
Friars
at
Club
the,
roast.
In the New York. This is one of these great roasts that we'll never actually see. It was just for the people there.
That is correct.
Those
Yes.
are the best ones.
It was recorded, but I think for archival purposes.
Yeah.
But I did manage to remember and write down
A couple?
some of the better jokes.
Okay.
So oddly enough, Quentin didn't take that much heat from the roasters. Because I think a lot of people were afraid about pissing him off and then never working again. So most people just ragged on the other people on the dais, and even a few people who weren't there, like John Travolta.
That's kind of heads up. People who had been in Quentin's
In his movies, yeah, but weren't
Right.
there. Jeffrey Ross, great comedian Jeffrey Ross, told Quentin that he changed the face of cinema, and I just wish cinema would return the favor. Because he's not a handsome man. And Samuel L. Jackson was his roast master. And he said he was upset that Sam had been in so many terrible movies.
Right.
And so he said, you really need to start saying the N-word more. And the N-word is no.
Nice.
That's a good one.
That was a Jeffrey Ross also?
That was Jeffrey Ross.
Yeah, isn't he something for the Friars, like president or something?
Jeff is, I think he's definitely on a board somewhere, maybe an
Ambassador?
abbot even. I don't know. But he was one of the guys who made me a member. You have to get sponsored by 2 members. He was one of them for me.
Sir Jeffrey Ross. Let's just
Sir
call him
Jeffrey
that.
Ross. Rob Schneider took the biggest shot at John Travolta, who again was not there, and said that Travolta wasn't there because there was a fags in denial who believe in aliens convention, which was ridiculous and well received, by the way, by the room.
Wow, really?
And Eli Roth had an interesting one. He said, Quentin has an obsession with movies, Uma, and women's feet. He has a bigger collection of shoes than Dachau.
Oh my God.
Dachau.
Oh my God.
I don't even get that. That's like a...
Yeah. They basically are going
That's like
after every
Miller and his
religion on the
references.
planet.
I have
it
to give you.
sounds like.
I have to. Yes, they did. They went after everyone. There's nothing off limits there. My favorite was Whitney Cummings, who I don't know if you know this.
Your ride's
gal.
here, by the way, Sam.
Fantastic. I know who sent them too. Whitney Cummings said.
Who's Whitney Cummings?
She's a very funny stand-up comic.
Unbelievably famous that I'm 105 for not knowing.
No. Well, she's still making a name for herself.
Is
She's
she
done a
on
lot
the
of Comedy Central
alternative
roast.
tour?
No, I don't know. She's mainstream.
Okay.
Anyway, she called Quentin a ripoff artist and said, Quentin, you've ripped off so many directors that when I Googled you for this, it came up with, did you mean Brian De Palma?
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And she also noted that there were so many old white conservatives here today that during the silent auction, someone tried to put a bid on Sam Jackson.
Wow.
And then Sarah Silverman took a
probably
shot at
should've
me.
laughed.
So Silverman took a shot at you?
Yes, saying that never before has a friar become so famous for so few accomplishments. I'm a
burying the
10-year-old.
lead.
I'm a 10-year-old and a 90-year-old at the same time, and shouldn't I
that's
be
true.
and shouldn't I be throwing a ring in Mordor right now?
I get that one.
So there you go. That's my roast recap.
Wow. Everyone got crap.
Everyone got nailed.
Yeah. Yeah, you do crush the people on the dais more. Oh, I was there for the Rob Reiner one, as you remember, Sam, is where we met the first time.
That's right, sir.
You were 11. And Michael Spinks was on the dais. And I said, really? Michael Spinks is here? He doesn't know it. But there he is. Jamie, your Thanksgiving, you cooked your own Thanksgiving at home?
No. We shared duties.
You had, you did.
shared duties.
You co-hosted.
I co-hosted. Emily cooked. Elaine cooked. Travis cooked. Travis didn't buy a large enough bird. Travis.
Really, everyone but me cooked, it turned out.
Oh, you did nothing.
I helped with
Oh, excuse me. He cleaned the lawn furniture.
the
We
lemon
sat on it a
meringue.
lot. It was a nice day.
I made an egg run for the second lemon meringue pie.
Oh yeah, the lemon meringue pie
Attempt.
was a bitch.
Oh my God.
And then
was
I
good,
love
though.
how everyone after the fact was like, "Well, did you have a copper bowl?
Yeah.
Did you chill it?
Did you chill it?
do it?" I was like, "Well, where were you people like an hour ago? Whenever I didn't waste 8 eggs."
Yeah.
It's really the wasting of the eggs that's getting me.
Yeah. Depression baby can't handle that very well. But you, for someone who had no instruction, you downloaded the one recipe for a lemon meringue pie that did not have any of these insider.
Also, they didn't mention, for anybody who wants to make a lemon
The
meringue
right
pie out
whisking.
there, you have to prepare the meringue beforehand because if you don't put it on the pie filling while it's still hot, it won't make that seal. And then it
course.
separates.
Of course.
It still tasted
That's
delicious.
what I've been doing wrong all these
Yeah.
years.
You idiot.
Simple
It was
when you say
hard.
it.
Yeah, it was the hardest thing of
It
the
was a
whole
bitch.
trip.
But I
what
did
an-
it. I made 3 pies.
But congratulations on an incredible meal. Everybody was very, very happy. And Corey and his dad took the carcass home.
They did, and they
Yeah.
fought over it like vultures. That didn't good.
It
I
was
just
very
see the
good.
two levels just picking at each other with the carcass. there.
No, his dad made a delicious soup, he said.
I'll say. The Levin Delicious Soup, it's
Mm-hmm.
called. J-Mac,
How you doing?
you're over with my in-studio
Yeah. What am I doing? This is
crew.
weird.
And you're usually on the outside walls.
That's true.
Our audience has come to know you as one of the producers who's in the crew gag at the end of the show. But this is the first time in 90 shows that you've been on the inside of these hollow walls.
Well, on the anniversary show, I was
Everyone was on the
there
anniversary
once.
show.
And
one
also,
time.
this will be the last time because you just corrected me.
Wow.
I'll let
So
myself
enjoy your
out
stay.
of
No,
frame.
not yet.
Oh, no?
Stay there.
Okay.
Jamie and I had our annual first Christmas party of the season that we were invited to last night, and we decided to drag you along. But it ended up being your very first big-time official Hollywood party.
Yeah.
You've been in town now 3 years and change?
Yes. Yes.
I think I was probably in town maybe 5 years before I made a big boy Hollywood party.
Really?
Well, we took him to Seth MacFarlane's.
Seth MacFarlane's
But
was
that
not
was
the same
different.
because
It
he
wasn't the same
hired
because-
2,000
yeah.
extras to fill the house.
Yeah, he does. I don't
was
understand.
absurd.
It's bizarre. They do. It's like
It was an orchestra between you and the host. That doesn't
It's like
happen.
they go to central casting and they're like, okay, we need 100 douchebags and whores. Like, I don't understand it.
No exaggeration other than the number.
Yeah.
Go
okay,
higher on the number.
we need 600 douchebags and whores.
And they got him.
And they got them.
So this was in the beautiful Malibu Bluffs home of two very powerful, important people whose names will remain private. But it was a who's who.
Yeah, and you didn't drag me to it, really. It was like, before she could say, would you like to go accompany us to this party, as she was finishing that, I was like, yes, please. Oh, my God, yeah, I would love to go to that. That'd be
Okay.
fun.
Yeah.
It's while we were hanging out at the Eagles Club, which we'll talk about next week.
Yes. Thank you. Wait for next
Because
week. on
we
that.
applied to be members.
It's 10 minutes though with the Eagles.
Yes,
Yes.
that's a whole different, that's a show in itself.
All right. So the first celebrity you see when you walk in, who are the first couple of big names?
I was talking to this woman named Paula from Pittsburgh that Jamie introduced me to that you're apparently friends with, and she said, oh yeah, my husband Paul, and it's Paul Reiser. And it was
Right.
like, oh, that's Paul Reiser just hanging out casually
Right.
there. And then what?
Paul
I went-
Reiser's wife is named Paula?
It's Paul and Paula.
Yeah.
Did you
well.
recognize?
Isn't that
Did you recognize the white-haired gentleman that was standing there with them?
I introduced myself to him. I did not recognize
Stephen
him.
Bochco.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
He was like,
Television's
he was
Stephen
like, are you ready to have a good time tonight? I see you're getting the scotch there. I'm going to get one myself. See
There
you
are no
later.
name tags.
No,
so
that would have helped
I
a
kept
lot.
elbowing you, saying, "There goes that's Cindy Crawford."
Yes, yeah, and then there was Pierce Brosnan just like walking by, and I think at one point you said, "Turn around over your shoulder. There's Fergie," and I was like, and you were like,
Black
no,
Eyed
the
Peas.
royalty version, the actual royal Fergie.
Formerly known as royalty.
Every time I saw Pierce Brosnan, I just wanted him to say, "This is Constable Wiggums. Please remove your knickers and get into the bath."
She did say that a lot.
That was like, please.
And I kept
do
saying,
the
"You can't
line."
say that to him. He's never seen the episode."
No.
He was on The Simpsons. Those of you at home wondering what the fuck we're talking about.
Sean thinks we'll get it.
So you take away from this
See?
experience.
He got it.
What? Of course you did. What do you take away from the experience?
It was awesome, and I'm gonna be your guys' new best friend because I want to go back next year. I think I
Dennis
made a good
Miller.
We're
impression.
already best buddies.
And there was
Sure.
the Dennis Miller Pittsburgh.
Yes,
connection
Dennis Miller was
thing.
talking about how when he went to Point Park.
You guys
We're
always
all
the same-
alum.
Yeah, we're all alum. And when he went to Point Park, you had to go through a dry cleaner to get to it.
to get
get
to
to the
class.
university.
It's like
And
we
he
had
said
to go.
it was
go
embarrassing
dry
to take
cleaning.
his mom down there. And when I heard him say mom, it was like, you're fresh out of Pittsburgh. 30 years and fresh out of Pittsburgh. It was awesome. And he kept coming back at you all night with one-liners.
Yeah, he really would stop by.
My family
he was
was
working
very-
me all night.
Yeah.
It was pretty
I was
great.
very jealous that I met Dennis Miller because, as you know, my family turned Republican when I wasn't looking, and they love Dennis Miller now.
As soon as you turned your back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, they were so jealous that I got him in. So.
Was there a single highlight? Probably not. It's probably just a whole night.
No,
of-
it was
Ham,
fun.
the ham.
The ham was the highlight
The
of
ham was
tonight.
delicious.
John Hamm was
You
there?
mean John Hamm?
No, oh, wait.
You
No,
mean
the
actual
delicious
ham.
ham.
I think Nia Vardalos did a really good job of acting like she remembered who I was.
She said she wrote a part for you in a script.
She did
Yeah,
actually say
I was
that.
kind of hoping this was going to be the highlight.
Okay,
And Sam's
that-
reaction is perfect.
You
Sam's like,
buried the
The
lead,
lead.
my
You
friend.
Exactly.
Quote Kevin.
Buried the lead?
That is where you want to start with the
I-
story.
I'm
At the
sorry
end
about
of the
that.
evening, we'd been there forever.
3.5 hours.
4 hours plus. We're speaking with a former guest in front of the show, Nia Vardalos. And she looks at J-Mac, I think, and says, Rob Riggle and I just wrote a part for you in our script.
Yeah.
And then, of course, this one immediately is like, I think they think I'm Negrin.
I didn't say that. I said, I wonder if they have me confused with someone, because it's quite reasonable that they could have confused me with Sam Levine.
No, I don't think
No,
that's,
I don't
that's
think so.
reasonable at all.
For
I think it's
height,
You
decidedly
just went
unreasonable.
into denial. is
Yeah,
what happened.
totally did.
This couldn't be possible. And then when you walked away, I grilled her and
Yeah.
said,
And then later I bumped into her again and I was like, are you fucking with me? And I didn't know if it was polite to say, are you fucking with me to Nia Vardalos, but I did. And then we spent a picture of ourselves flipping off Rob Riggle to him. Emailed to
I
him.
took the photo
Yep.
with her phone, and then she emailed it immediately to Riggle,
Yep.
who responded maybe Semper Fi.
Yes. He is a Marine.
All right, well, congratulations.
It was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
Jamie and I will decide whether or not you can come next year.
Great.
Yeah, you were good though. You didn't because you threatened to, put a lampshade on your head, drink a bottle of just drink straight out of
$90
the bottle
scotch.
while eating gravy with the other
Yeah.
hand.
Just eating pure gravy.
But
Yeah.
you didn't do that.
Next year, I figured be cool the first year.
You did very, very well.
And
Thank
next year we won't forget the hot dogs on the way out.
I know.
It did happen.
They have.
I'm so mad. They have a hot dog
Let's
cart.
Be
so
Frank
hot-
truck
yeah.
right there in the
we
house.
forgot the hot dogs, and we 30 seconds down the street. I was like,
Almost turned
hot
around.
dogs! You could turn around. I forgot the hot dogs.
All right, J-Mac, get out of the studio.
Got it.
I would,
run, man.
I would now like to introduce my guest, but first I will congratulate another friend of the show, Kevin Smith, his movie Red State, which I enjoyed participating in. His movie Red State that he wrote and directed was just accepted into Sundance. So congratulations to him. Hopefully it's in the first 5 days of Sundance, and then we'll see him there. And then Sketchfest in San Francisco. I'll tell you more about that in the coming weeks, but we're going to be doing a special episode there the first Saturday in February. More to come. My guest today, very excited, been a fan, and then I think initially met at a poker table. And anytime I meet someone at a poker table, it usually is followed by a great story or a horrible story. And like my partner here, Jason Calacanis, nothing but horrible stories about this prick and poker and just the worst human being on the planet, really. The Mad Greek. my independent mini mogul jerk partner. But my guest today, when I met at the poker table, my brain, when I play against a female opponent, goes back immediately to the 40s. And I think it's funny how we revert sometimes instinctually. And I immediately think, you better go easy on the little lady. You know, one of those ridiculously 100-year-old thoughts. I think the first hand we were in together, she felt at me. This is, if it didn't happen, it is the memory that I have in my head. And it wasn't because I was underestimating her, as I just suggested. It was because I just didn't see it coming. The way the hand played out, whatever the circumstances were. But I can tell you that it was not something that, it was a bad beat, it was a lucky suck out on the river, I was outplayed. And I thought, first of all, I have to stop thinking like it's 1941, but more importantly, holy shit, that was really fun. We've played many times since, and I will now confess in front of her that I often go out of my way to try to fool her in a hand because of that one first-time meeting. But she is a wonderful actress and a new director with an exciting project for us to talk about. Please welcome my poker-playing pal, Laura Prepon. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction.
Well, it's true. I mean, you may not remember because it's been a long, long time now, but that's pretty damn close to
Thank you. I appreciate that.
reenactment. Let's start there. When did you get the poker bug?
I actually started playing poker in Lake Tahoe.
Really?
Yeah.
While you were shooting The Godfather?
A bunch of friends and I were hanging out.
Uh-huh.
And we basically got like snowed in, and one of my friends was like, do you want to learn how to play poker? And I hadn't really known that much about it because it was before poker became,
Right.
you know, insane.
Oh, yeah.
And all over the place.
Right.
And we learned how to play, and immediately it was just, I was hooked and I loved it. And there's always a little bit of that beginner's luck.
Sure.
So at first I'm playing and I'm like, whoa, I'm pretty good at this
I'm
game,
killing
you know?
everybody.
And then, yeah, and then after a while, you know, you start playing people who are better than you so you can get better. And I started realizing that I was making a lot of mistakes and everything, and then I really started learning the game and really trying to learn skill and why you do certain things.
Yeah.
And I love it. I mean, the reason why I think it's so cool is that you can never get bored of it.
Yeah.
There's always something to learn. You're always playing with new people. I tried the whole online thing, which was dangerous because I literally would have to be at work the next morning and I'd be playing till 5 o'clock in the morning.
Easily.
Online is dangerous.
It's
and
the drug, yeah.
I also find that it's harder for me to play online because I like playing with people, you know, and yeah, and for some reason online, ultimately I would always lose my money. Because even if I went on a really good tear, I would, for some reason, it would just always, you know, go away. But I feel like there's a huge advantage to playing someone, you know, one-on-one or, you know, at a table.
Oh, yeah.
So, for me, personally.
It's the greatest sport in the world in terms of one-on-one or some, you know, there's often more than two people in a pot.
Yeah.
But there's this sense of knowing your opponent. You know, as they say, the best players can play any two cards because they're really playing their opponent. So you hear that early on and you think, well,
Right.
that's unattainable.
Right.
But you get moments of it.
Oh,
where you
yeah.
actually read your opponent's thoughts.
Yeah.
And I don't know where else in life there's a sport that gives you that. I mean, if
Totally.
you're playing in tennis, certainly you have to think a few shots ahead.
Right.
You see these guys or women rallying on TV, and it's like, they got to know where this is going, right?
Totally.
So I guess that's true at that crazy pro level.
Right.
And you hear in chess, you know, I know my first 9 moves, I'll beat this guy in 6, all
Totally.
those things. So it feels a little like that, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, with tennis also, because I actually play tennis, but with tennis, the other thing that's cool is like it's a little bit like poker in the sense that you deliberately want to put the ball in a certain spot where when they hit it on that side, you know it's going to come back to here. You know what I mean? So
Right.
there's a little bit of trying to manipulate, but if the other person's really good, they'll know what I'm thinking they want, you know, I want them to do, and then they'll hit it the other way, and then you're like, oh crap, it's going over there. So, you know, tennis, there is kind of that manipulation and that mind game, which is cool. But with poker, the mind game is almost more important to me than the money that you win.
Yeah.
And all of our friends know it.
Yeah.
So literally all they will try to do is pull a bluff over on me, because that will put me on tilt so much more than losing a big pot. And literally, if someone bluffs me out of a pot and they flip their cards over and show me, I won't be able to sleep that night. You know what I mean? Where if I get a bad beat, I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, it affects me, but I'm like, well, whatever, it's poker. You're going to get bad beats.
Yeah.
But the mind game of it, or even personally, like, yeah, it's great taking a huge pot. But when you pull a bluff over on someone, and I never show my bluffs, you know, because I know how it feels when someone does that to me and I hate it.
Right.
So I don't do that to people unless you're playing 7 deuce and you're like, 7 deuce, give me my money. You know what I mean?
But you don't often play as the sheriff, is my experience.
Right.
I
Well,
mean, there's usually someone who needs to be the sheriff at the table.
absolutely.
For those of you watching, that's someone who needs to call everyone and assumes everyone is bluffing.
Yes, there's
But the-
always one of those.
But the truth is, if you just play when you get good cards, you'll play very few hands.
Right.
And everyone will know you only play really great cards.
Right, but once you establish that, then you can pull a huge bluff on someone like Josh Warner. Love you, Josh, but it's so much fun.
Yeah.
You
You do
know?
have quite the cred at the table as not tight.
Thanks.
But you'd rather not play bad cards. And
I definitely try to have that image. That's why if there's a night, especially if we're all at the table and we're all, you know, having some cocktails or whatever, I definitely tend to play a lot more loose. And if I get caught a couple times in hands, I'm like, crap, I got to reestablish,
Right.
you know, that image. So I know exactly what I'm doing when that happens. So usually if I'm messing around too much, I'm like, okay, I got to rein it back in so I can,
Yeah.
you know, get some good play in.
it's the looser players, in the end, to me, that are considerably more dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
If there's a sense about them that they just don't care,
Right.
then unfortunately those maniacs kind of play the same whether they have good cards or bad cards.
Well, that's the thing. That's like our friend, you know, Roberto, who I love, who's a great friend of mine, and he's a really good poker player. But he's known at the table for being extremely loose, and it's hard because.
Leif.
And this Leif, totally. I know his nickname is Seabiscuit at the table. He's a little hand that could. And we all have our poker names, you know. And but the problem with that is, and this is the problem with playing with the new players too, because they overvalue their hands.
Right.
If you do if you make a really good bet or you make a really good bluff, there is a certain level of someone who knows how to play knows they should fold. You know what I mean? So the problem is when you play someone who's really new,
Right.
or when you play someone who's extremely loose, it's hard to play a really good game
Really hurt.
of poker. You know what I mean? Because ultimately you just can't get them off their hands. So then the skill is out the window, and it is just luck at that point.
Yeah. Well, that's the part you were speaking of, and I swear the entire show will not be about
No,
poker.
yes, sorry.
But that's the part you speak about, which is the beginner's luck thing. It's really the beginner's ignorance
Right.
that serves them well.
Absolutely.
Because they're playing in hands they have no business being in if they knew any better.
Exactly.
So they are extremely dangerous.
Yes.
And yet, if you play with the pros in Vegas or wherever, you see they're waiting for those idiots.
Totally.
And I always find those idiots to be too dangerous sometimes.
Totally.
So that's one of the
But
ways that the
when-
pros get my admiration.
Right, but whenever I've played with pros, they're usually pretty tight because they know that, you know, people who are, you know, not as well-rounded in poker as they are going to do stupid things, and they won't be able to do their moves that you see on high-stakes poker or whatever, and you're like, oh my God, that was genius. How did you do that?
Right.
Because someone who is new and is overvaluing their hand is going to go all the way to the river, you know, the last card or whatever.
Yeah.
But, and also, there's also those times where I roll into a casino at 5 o'clock in the morning, and there's, you know, guys there with their coffee and their newspapers just waiting to prey on, you know, the people who are coming in who've had a really long night and just want to splash around, and they are just waiting, and they're rounders, just sitting there waiting
Yeah.
for people,
That's
you know.
their night shift.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And they come in fresh, you know, fully slept, you know, they have their coffee and everything, and they're ready to just
It's
go to
one of the
work.
most diverse world of characters of any hobby, pastime, sport, game, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
that I've ever witnessed. In other words, if you're a touring pro as a tennis player, you've got great road stories and you've got,
oh yeah,
you know, all kinds of characters and personalities that you can. But there's something about, it's not just degenerate gamblers either.
Oh no.
As much as the top tier players tend to be. If Ivy is arguably still the best player, he's also a guy who donks off $100,000 on one hole playing golf.
Right.
Because it interests him. I mean,
well, there's also a lot of, you know, the top guys also, they love craps, you know, and blackjack and things like that. It's maybe not even poker, but it's something else like, you know, betting $1 million to not eat meat for 2 months or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or something like that. But there definitely is a little bit of that. I feel like to play something like that and do it for a living, there definitely has to be some kind of like thrill seeker.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you want to call it degenerate gambler because I don't want to, you know, speak poorly about it because it is such a great game and there is a lot of skill to it. But there definitely has to be some of that like thrill seeker, degenerate gambler, you know, a little bit in there.
There needs to be fearlessness too.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That's the part I could never get past. At some level,
you're
I'm gonna
a great player, Kevin.
Stop
Whenever, okay, forget it. No, for real, he's a great player.
At a certain
Whenever
level,
we're hand together, you know, like okay, we're gonna.
If we're playing in a certain level, then I think we can make moves and we can feel comfortable playing against anyone.
Totally.
But when you step up to a bigger person game,
oh yeah,
oh my goodness.
Yep.
I just have no interest.
Yeah, I found myself in a couple of those, and there's definitely like, you know, it's all, you know, the thing where like if you can't spot the fish at the table, it's you.
Yeah.
You know, there've been a couple of those moments where I'm sitting at a table with these amazing players, and I'm like, I think I'm the fish here. Like, I'm way over my head.
That's a wonderful feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, I was like, oh my god. But
all right.
You know,
Before we leave the poker,
Sammy, please. I knew we have to bring you.
An old bone to pick with Laura.
Okay.
What?
A million years ago, you and I were playing.
Uh-oh, here we go. No one forgets getting beat by
Oh,
Laura.
man.
You never forget. I think it was at Josh's house. And I've been sitting there tight all night. I got my aces. I'm very excited. I bet I'm hard coming out. You call, flop comes, nothing. I bet out hard again, you call. I'm like, oh no, she's probably got a big drawing hand. Turn comes. No help. I bet out hard a second time. You think for like 8 minutes, someone called a clock. You call.
2-6 offsuit, two
River
pair on
comes and it's a 4, a useless 4. At that point, I caught committed myself. I'm like, well, I guess I'm all in. And you're
Insta-call.
Insta-call. Trip force.
sorry, dude.
That keeps me up at night still.
I'm sorry. I know
me
the
up at night.
feeling. I know the feeling, but that's the problem. Aces, you know, they get cracked.
On the river.
Did you just share a bad beat story?
That you owe me $5.
I was curious.
Bad beat stories, $5 if we were to listen to that.
Fair enough.
No, but
$5.
I do apologize
all right.
because you know I apologize. At the time, I must have put you on a
Ace
different.
King.
Yeah, I must have put you on Ace King or something.
Very well.
So I
I'll buy
apologize
it.
about that. But
All right.
just you know, I've had plenty of bad beats myself, so
Indeed.
I understand the feeling, and I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad we cleared that up on
Yes,
the
yes.
live show.
Now move along because we're getting complaints about it.
Oh, whoops, sorry.
Tell me about your Thanksgiving.
My Thanksgiving was awesome. I cooked for 15 people.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
This is something you've done before many times.
Yes, I'm used to doing, you know, big holidays because I tend to bring in, you know, my friends who are kind of strays and don't have, you know, family in
orphans,
town, you know, yeah. And I have holidays and they all come over and I cooked an 18-pound turkey.
Hello.
And which is
Travis Rink, 18 pounds.
pretty
Yeah.
massive, you know. And I brined it, did the whole thing, you know. And I made a bunch of stuff from scratch, of course, because my mother is this eccentric gourmet chef, and if I ever used a mix, she would kill me.
Does
So
the
it's
family
been like
come out?
ingrained in my head to
Oh.
make it from scratch.
Right.
My sister and my brother live in LA, but half my family's still in Jersey.
Right.
So they're coming out for Christmas.
Nice.
So I'll cook for that too. But yeah, Thanksgiving was great. We, you know, had a big, awesome dinner, and then it turned into a poker game.
How strange.
Yeah, exactly. But I actually, honestly, was trying to not have it go that way because it was a holiday and all that. But, you know, most of the people there were guys, and they wanted to play. I'm like, all right, let's play then.
Right.
So then we played poker till about 2 in the morning, and we were all drinking bourbon and all sorts of fun stuff, and it was great.
Yeah.
Bourbon. We got a nice visit from a drunk Josh Warner on Thanksgiving. It was quite fun.
We did. It was really fun.
He's the one who started, because he loves, he's big into bourbon right now.
Did he start you on the bourbon?
Yes. There's a bullet and this stuff called ginger beer. You do some bourbon, a little bit of ginger beer. It's amazing. It is so delicious. It's great for like the holidays, and it was great.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, but I'll be cooking again for Christmas too.
Your family's coming out, and when they do, is that when Paradise by the Dashboard Light will happen?
Oh my God. How did you know about that?
We put together a little dossier.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
One thing you should know about my family is we're Irish.
Okay.
From Jersey. And Paradise with the Dashboard Light is our family anthem. And I remember when I first started dating my boyfriend, one of my friends had come to a family wedding, and and he knew that my boyfriend was coming back with me for my sister's wedding. And he's like, do you know about Paradise with the Dashboard Light? And Scott's like, maybe, I don't know. And he's like, oh, just wait. So any kind of holiday or wedding or anything like that, at a certain point, Paradise by the Dashboard Light gets played, all the girls line up, all the guys line up, and we act out the entire song. And it's hilarious. And we're like, I gotta know right now, and we do the whole thing.
I saw this in the dossier as I compiling the information that J-Mac actually, he puts together a 30-page version, and I have to make a 6-page version out of it. And I thought, we went in search of any kind of video. It doesn't exist. You should be happy to know.
Thank God, because I know at my cousin's wedding, there was a videographer there, and I was like, is that going online?
Yeah.
Don't let that go online.
We would have found it. But I'm still,
unfortunately,
curious how one acts out that song. Are you acting out his music video?
No,
or did you make up a story?
No, it's basically all the women, if there's 100 people at the wedding or whatever, or even at a family holiday, there's 25 people, all the girls line up in a row, and all the guys line up in a row, and we all face each other.
Right.
So the guys sing the parts to the girl, and then when the girl sings, we sing back at them, and we're like, and then the guy's like, let me sleep on it, and we're like, I gotta know, right? So we act the whole thing out to each other, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, it must be.
It's just, our
newcomers.
holidays and parties tend to be really fun, and the first time Scott saw it, he was just like, oh my God. But he also loves to sing, so he jumped right in there, and he was having a blast.
Yeah.
So.
It's your new fellow, Scott.
Yes.
He is really talented, and I know that more from the web series that you guys are now working on.
Yeah.
He's on a series that's on the ABC Family?
Yeah, he's on a show called Greek on ABC Family, which they actually just finished. He plays Cappy on that show. And when we started dating, I had taken film school, and I've, directed 2 shorts, and I was a second-year director on a film that I was on. Right. And I had been wanting to direct for, a really long time. And Scott and I, started dating, and he lives in this apartment building in West Hollywood. Anyone who's seen Neighbors, that's the apartment they live in. And he lives in the lower, right apartment, and directly across the driveway in the mirroring apartment lived this guy named Jamie J. And when Scott and I started dating, we hung out, I met Jamie J, and the 3 of us just had this instant connection. Like, we tell jokes, and we all were so in tune, with each other. And all the apartments opened to outside.
Right.
So one night, we were hanging out in the driveway talking about funny sketches and whatnot before we were ever going to do the show. And one of the neighbors yells down, and he's like, just shoot the effing thing already. I didn't know if we could curse on this, but whatever. So literally, I'm like, I have a camera because I have all my gear. And I'm like, oh, let's show up tomorrow and let's just shoot it and see what happens. So the next day I show up and we shoot in the driveway. And it was just like this, I'm sure you've had it, in your career where you work with people and you're like, wow, this is really special. Like, what we're doing is just like, this is a really special thing. And it was just like an instant connection. And I direct them, I edit them all at my house. We write them together. And it just kind of grew. And now we have like 18 episodes online, and we run it like super pro because, Scott and I have been on sets for a long time, so we're really good at being very organized and how we run it. And, as a director, I know not to like wear them out too much with too many shots, so I know if we're running long, I'll just drop out a couple shots because I edit it. I know what I can get away with not using and stuff like that.
I know it's crystal clear that you're scripting the hell out of it, but then once you're in the setup,
there's definitely room for us to, mess around.
Yeah.
But it's really great because Jamie isn't even an actor; he's a musician.
Tell me about this guy. I want to show the clip, but tell me about this guy beforehand.
He's hilarious. He's in a band called Ostrich Head, which, if anybody doesn't know this band, they're amazing.
What kind of music?
It's kind of like the Gorillaz or Black Eyed Peas type of thing.
Okay.
There's like some rapping, but there's also a lot of really great melodies. And Jamie is, one of the rappers in the band, and he also sings. But
he has comedy timing of
he's
a master. It's
genius.
Ridiculous.
Because Scott, he's an actor, so you assume he's going to be great at it, which he is. Jamie was just such a natural. He's amazing, and he's hilarious, and it's just.
I thought, well, this
great.
guy's going to be the straight man.
Yeah, but Scott's the straight man.
It's unbelievable.
And it works so well.
This is the first one, the first episode. You say there's 18 episodes now.
I think there's
I
about 18.
found them on YouTube, but is there a site now?
Yeah, we have, neighbors.com.
Okay.
Because they're neighbors and bros.
Sure.
So we call it neighbors.
Nay Bros.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I guess other than letting people know this is the very first one you shot.
Yeah, look, we shoot this thing for $0.
Right.
All my equipment that I have, if there's any special effects makeup, because one skit we needed to put a knife in Scott's back. So I'll literally go to a prop house,
Sure.
buy the knife, and because I've seen people, if I see someone do something or they do it to me, I can usually, do to someone else. Like if someone does my makeup a certain way, I can do that to someone else. I'm pretty good at picking up on that. So one time I saw someone doing a fake thing on somebody, so I'm like, oh, I can do that.
The knife gag.
So I got the spirit gum and the fake blood, and I did the whole thing. And if anything like that needs to be done, I do it. And it's basically just the three of us, except for Rachel, who who's Josh Warner's girlfriend. She will hold the boom for us. And other than that, we're it. We are it.
And no, going into this, it's absolutely stripped down. It's just about clever performances and timing, and not about shooting a giant feature film.
Yeah,
but it's a great sort of lesson to. At the end of the day, whether it is a big feature film or a web series,
right,
it is about timing.
Absolutely.
And that's what struck me. And the timing not only comes from the performances, but from the editing and directing, clearly.
Thank you.
As we will show by this clip of Nay Bros. Please enjoy.
Cool.
Nay Bros, they're Nay Bros. They're Nay Bros, they're friends till the end, or at least until one of them moves. They're Nay Bros.
Siggy.
Yes.
Hey, bro, did you do it?
Of course I did it. Let's check the tape. All right there. We're gonna slow it down, and let's freeze it. Boom. That's where I did it.
I don't see anything.
Let's move on.
Let's.
Oh shit, bro! I forgot to tell you. My lady friend trying to take me to church.
Church is nice. It could be cool.
No, not my scene, man. I don't know what I believe, and I don't like people telling me that. I'm acoustic.
I think you mean agnostic.
Yeah, I'm exhausted.
Oh no, bro. It.
Oh, did I fall asleep?
I think you did.
Oh, son of a bitch!
Oh, speaking of your lady friend, how's she doing?
She is in the hospital.
Nice. Wait, what?
Yeah, ICU.
What happened?
Well, seems I punched her right dead square in the teeth.
Why would you do that?
I have night terrors.
What the fuck?
Oh, did I fall asleep again?
Yes, you did.
Oh, son of a bitch!
And you punched me in the mouth. Not funny. What? No. Yeah, I guess. I think you might be narcoleptic.
What? My father died of narcoleptic. He lost all of his toes.
You're a fucking moron. Oh, well, you do have night terrors.
They're neighbors that live in close proximity to each other.
All right, so tell people where they can see the rest of these.
Neighbors.com.
Neighbors.
And I really appreciate you showing it just because it's very close to our hearts, and we work so hard at it that whenever people watch it, and it's just, people have been really welcoming with it and they love it. So it's been, I mean, we're really fortunate,
This is the great thing about this environment of the net is that you're limited by your imagination only.
Right.
And if you bring any sort of talent to it to begin with that you've learned from traditional media,
right,
and then suddenly you have all the freedom that you never had before, then it becomes instant nirvana.
Totally.
So you must feel kind of spoiled in terms of you're in control of every single aspect.
Yeah, it's so cool.
So even though you have no money, and even though it's down and dirty, whatever.
Right.
It's either funny or it isn't.
Right.
And that's all on you.
Yeah, and,
Which is
that's
rarely...
well, ultimately, when we do get money to do it, we're still going to really try to keep the authentic feel of it, because that is another thing with the show that's so cool, is like, you can tell that it's very kind of guerrilla and it's just us, you know what I mean? Considering, I think it looks pretty good, but one of our important things is when we do get money to actually do it, we always want to keep that vibe there. Because it's part of the feel,
I would encourage you.
Thank you.
To keep with that instinct, because it is part of the charm.
Yeah.
It's a huge part of the charm.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? The opening song where you see the guy playing guitar, his name is Zach, and he's an ostrich head with Jamie. And he's another musician. And literally, we were in the drive-in and we're like, we need like a song, for the opening. And Zach's like, all right, cool. He grabbed his guitar out of his car, and he's just standing in the driveway and starts singing. And I'm like, I'm going to film this, because I knew I wanted to cut it together with the opening credits. That was literally him just riffing in the driveway.
First take.
And, well, he did like 5 takes. And then I set the camera up and I filmed all of them. And that was, he did a couple different versions.
Sure.
And that was the best one. But that's not in a studio or anything. That's just us in the driveway.
That's absurd.
It's so funny.
It's kind of perfect.
Thank you.
But I, in the research, found that your experience in the internet original content technically either predates or around the same time as that 70s shows. It was 97 that They Go On happened.
Yeah, it's weird because that was like before anybody was really doing internet shows or anything like that.
1997, absolutely.
Totally.
Unheard of.
And I didn't even really know what it was at the time, but it was before I got 70s. And I got that right when I was 15, I moved to Europe. And then...
You got in the modeling game.
Yeah, which was not my thing. I didn't like it. But it was really cool because when you move to Europe by yourself when you're 15, you grow up real fast and you learn to take care of yourself. But I'm the youngest of 5. And my eldest sister was working for Glamour magazine, and I was into like sports at the time, and she was like, have you ever thought about modeling? And I'm like, no. It's really weird. In my school, there was no like acting culture. There was like a drama class, but it was so not in my reality. Like we didn't know anybody who was in the drama class.
Right.
There was just no, there wasn't a lot of things for like the arts in school, in my school. And so when she had mentioned to me about modeling or getting into that type of thing, it was so not like in my universe. I was like, no, I'm like, that's weird. And she's like, well, just take a couple snapshots or Polaroids and go, see this agency. And I was like, all right. So my mother drove me into the city. I went with this agency and I showed them, these pictures that I had of me like on a boat when we went on like a family trip to like Greece or something.
Right.
And literally within a month, I was on a plane to Milan. and I lived there for a year, and then I lived in Paris for 4 months and London for a month. So, but my family, we were very relaxed. We had a very unorthodox upbringing.
Right.
Never been grounded, never been told to do my homework. It was very, my mother basically was just like, cool, do your thing. So when I wanted to move there, she was like, go. So I literally went there and, you know, lived there, and that's kind of what I did. But my first acting was an Italian Uncle Ben's rice commercial in Milan.
I'm going to need to know more about that. Because we don't
Please no,
we
please
don't,
no.
We don't have a clip
Yeah.
of your French Uncle
Thank
Ben's
God.
rice.
It was Italian. And
Excuse
I
me,
remember
Italian.
shooting it. It was because modeling never was my thing, because I don't like being poked and prodded at, and you know, the only modeling I liked was runway, because there was some kind of acting involved a little bit. But other than that, it wasn't really my thing. But I always knew when I was in school, because I always assumed, my father was a surgeon, I always just assumed I would go that way. But when I was in school, I was always like, there's something else I want to do, but I don't know what it is.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I always knew, I'm like, I was always kind of searching for something, and I'm like, what? Why am I never comfortable being where I'm at? Like, I know there's something else I want to do. The first acting I ever did, I'm like, this is it. I'm like, this is what I've been like looking for.
Wow.
And then literally after I, you know, finished in Europe, I came back and started acting.
Was the Italian Uncle Ben's rice the first acting?
First acting. And it was like modeling acting. You know what I mean? I didn't have like lines and stuff, but it was the closest thing to acting I had had at the time. It wasn't a photo shoot, it wasn't runway. You know, there were cameras, and it was a commercial, you know. And it was basically just me walking through like a piazza, you know. But I was like, this is great. I just loved it.
Right.
And then I moved back to New York, and then within a year, I had 70 show, moved to LA.
Within a year?
Within a year.
What the hell?
I know, but here's the thing, Kevin. People are always like paying dues and this and that, and you know, but I paid some major dues in Europe, because people sometimes don't like hearing how it happened for me so quickly. And I'm like, not necessarily, because yeah, I didn't grind it out for 10 years before I got my first break.
Mm-hmm.
But living in Milan when you're so young, and you know, being by yourself, and you go on so like auditions or whatever, they're called castings. They kind of aren't acting too, but not really. In modeling, you know, they're called casting calls, and you'd show up and there'd be 200 girls there, and you would literally go one after the other, like 10 in a day. And I knew Milan like the back of my hand, so literally I would map them all out, and I didn't even have to look at a map. I knew exactly where they were. Mm-hmm. So in the morning I knew, you know, where I would go. And it was hard.
The rejection is, I think, what we're talking about.
It is ridiculous, because it's not even, you know, yes, as an actor, we go in and we put ourselves out there, and we're, you know, in an audition, we're like, this is it, you know, and we give it our all, and you're vulnerable.
Right.
But if you really are confident in who you are, and you're like, you know what, cool, I didn't get that because I just wasn't what they were looking for, no big deal, on to the next. Modeling, the thing that sucks is it's a body. Like, you're literally critiqued on what you look like, what size you are, your height, your this, your that, your hair color. And it's on such a level of...
You can't help but take it personal.
It sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, it's on such a level of, you get so fixated on that's what they're looking at, and, you know, it's kind of... It just wasn't, it wasn't for me. I just didn't like it.
That, as you described it, sounds horrible. Because there's the rejection of wanting to be an actor. You have to put in your 10,000 hours of being rejected. Mm-hmm. So when people say you didn't pay your dues, I see what you're saying. The rejection that you went through on a daily basis,
yes,
on all of these casting calls, is those 10,000 hours. And
that's what it feels like.
And even more to the point of scrutiny, it wasn't your interpretation of these words. Mm-hmm. It was just your hair and your hips and your eyes. And
totally.
You know what? No.
Right. And that's why it can be, I mean, I'm glad I went through it, because like I said, you know, living over there, you know, I would listen to CNN all the time, because it was the only English I had. So I'd literally be in my apartment, and I would have my TV on just so I could hear some English, you know what I mean? And then, but it was tough. I mean, like in Paris, I don't know why this apartment was so infested with roaches, but it was so infested with roaches because I didn't have a lot of money. So literally, I would call my mother in New Jersey, And I'd be on the phone with her, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go into the bathroom now. And she's like, all right. She's like, honey, before you go into the bathroom, turn the lights on because they'll scatter before you go in there.
Wow.
So literally, I would walk to the bathroom with her on the phone, and she's like, look away and turn the lights on. So I'd look away and turn the lights on, and the cockroaches would scatter, and then I'd go in and go to the bathroom with her on the phone. But it was like, oh God, dealing with that when you're so young, it's just like, but you know, it also, you know, makes you who you are. And now if I see cockroach, I'm like, big deal, and I flick it. You know, it's like, whatever.
Do you think your mom was so free in letting you go on this journey because she knew you've got to find your way in this world? You know, there's the overprotective mothers,
right,
who some say do more damage than the crazy too free mothers who say, seemingly, you're on your own if that's what you want to do.
You know, it's a really good point, because I grew up with friends who had the overbearing mothers who, to this day, have no idea what they want to do in life. They're, you know, in school, they were the ones doing all the crazy stuff, like breaking all these rules, whereas I didn't have any rules to break. So for me, I feel like we were more relaxed because I'm like, there's nothing to rebel against. Why am I going to rebel? I have no rules. But I will say, though, that I thrived in that kind of environment, whereas a couple of my siblings, they maybe wanted more
structure,
a little more structure. But granted, we were all raised the same way, and it's not like my mom, you know, didn't care or whatever. She was just a very free kind of person. I mean, my father, like I said, was a surgeon. He had the most amount of cases in 2 hospitals, which was kind of unheard of. And he would come home at 11 o'clock at night, and we would line up like the Von Trapp children, and we'd give him a kiss on the cheek, and he would go into the bedroom, and we wouldn't see him again.
Wow.
And then the next night he would come home, and we'd give him a kiss on the cheek, you know. And my mother was like this eccentric gourmet chef, and her whole game in life was cooking. And she had this Zagat's guide, and she would go to all the best restaurants in New York and taste all the best meals, and she would come home and perfect those recipes till 5, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Jeez.
And I would go into the kitchen at 2 o'clock in the morning, and she would have a duck on the counter, pumping air into it with a bicycle pump. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, you have to get the skin away from the meat so it gets crispy, because this was her Peking duck phase. And literally the next day, the duck would be hanging in the bedroom with a hanger through its eyes, hanging onto a door with a fan blowing on it. And she would make this.
How is this not on a script, Laura?
You know, I've been trying to think about how to encapsulate her into like a character, and I can't because she's so complex.
See the movie Mermaid, it sounds like.
Yeah, totally, totally. And, you know, and those are the types of things, you know, we would go to sleep for school, and she'd wake us up at midnight, and we'd go into the kitchen and have dinner. And none of my friends were allowed to sleep in my house because they all thought we were weird. They all.
Oh, did they?
But my mother would be perfecting her pina colada recipe from scratch. And we'd be 12 years old, and my friends and I would be sipping it with her. She wasn't trying to get us drunk. She wanted our honest opinion on her recipe.
On the flavor.
And my friends would go home and tell their mothers what she did, and they weren't allowed to sleep over anymore. You know what I mean? So it was so we had a very interesting upbringing, which I love because I feel like it really made me who I am, you know. But your point, it's really valid. I don't know. I feel like some people do better with more structure, and other people thrive more with the no boundaries thing. I mean, I love that my mother was the way she was, because she said, you want to move to Europe and you're 15, go. You know, where who knows where I would be if she didn't let me do that.
Right.
You know, and yeah, there were some tough times over there, but there were also amazing times.
I mean, clearly she knew that there was some sort of supervision. Somebody was helping you find an apartment. There was some sort of agent or agency, or I mean, you didn't literally get off the plane and there was no one there to meet you.
No, well, there was no one there to meet me, but apparently I stuck out like a sore thumb, and the guys who run security in the airport immediately spotted me and pulled me into a back room, and they were all yelling at each other in Italian. And I was like, what is going on? Because I didn't have a visa to work there, and they knew I was going there to model, and they could tell I was American. So they pulled me into a room, and they were all yelling in Italian, and I had no idea what was going on. So I called the agency, and I'm like, hey, I'm in this room, you know, I don't understand what they're saying. And I knew that they were going to get me on the next plane back to America. So then within 20 minutes, somebody showed up from the agency and yelled at them in Italian, and then they brought me into Milan and it was fine.
Right.
But yeah, you start out in a model apartment with like 6 other girls, which I didn't like, so I begged my mother to get me my own apartment, and I promised her I'd pay her back. And she helped me pay for my own apartment, so I lived by myself, which was good.
Hence all the roaches.
Hence all the roaches.
Right.
The roaches were in Paris though, but Milan, it was pretty nasty too.
Well, if you're going to have roaches, it's a better story that they're in Paris.
Yes, thank you.
I also heard the Parisian roaches are...
They're fancier.
They're a little fancier.
Do they crunch like a baguette, Sam?
They wear berets.
They wear
Sorry, I have to bring up that you fighting with the crepe guy.
Today?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that son of a bitch. We go to a farmer's market near us, and there's a fat-faced French fuck
I guess you can't curse on this.
who
How do you really feel?
who refuses to get his own bank when he comes to
And
work.
then if you don't have exact change, they yell at you.
It's $6.50, and I hand him a 10, and he says, "That's it? You don't have change? Do I not have $6.50? Is that your question? Do you not have change?" Literally that intense.
Yeah.
And then he asked the guy next to him for change. You could tell that, like the booth next to him, you can tell that he does this every week.
Yeah.
And the
Right.
guy's like,
Again
why
with
are you
this.
Well, it was funny because when I first went there
Way to get that
to
off our
Paris, my Jersey accent was really strong. And I saw something on a map, and I'm like, I want to go there. So I literally would go to people, and I'm like, can you tell me where the Champs Ulysses is? Mm-hmm. And that's how I read it. And with my accent, I was just like butchering, my French. And I was like, I'm looking for the Champs Ulysses. And I was the Champs-Élysées that I was looking for, but it says Champs Ulysses.
It certainly does.
And and they were just like, weren't having it. And they just thought I was butchering the language, which Grant said I was. But it was like, you can tell, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I'm, new to this place. Just help me out a little bit. And
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about.
When someone comes here and says, "Where's Sepulveda?" I only laugh at them for a second.
Exactly,
I
but
don't,
then you tell
I don't
them where
throw
it
them
is.
out. Sepulveda.
You direct them in the right direction.
I remember being a child in school and had a teacher that she must have been French because I said, "What is this word determined?" And she said, "You mean determined?" And I said, "I don't know. Do I? It looks like determined." And then she laughed in my face.
Wow. And that was a teacher?
It was a teacher.
Not okay. Not okay.
Go kill yourself. I remember thinking years later. All right, so you were put on tape, or put yourself on tape in New York. It was sent to the show's creators of That 70s Show.
Yes.
As according to the dossier research.
That's exactly what happened.
And they say, well, come on out here, and you have to go up against other actresses. So you were kind of used to that sense of the competition.
Yeah, but the thing that was cool was I had no idea that, like, people who have been acting, and I think this actually helped me at the time, people who have been acting for a while know the stakes of, whoa, if I get this pilot, it could potentially be this big thing. I had no clue.
It was that beginner's luck thing that
So-
we
yeah,
talked about
totally.
in poker. The ignorance served you well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in a hallway with this blonde girl next to me, and she was wearing this really short skirt and like this low-cut thing, and was all like looked really beautiful and sexy. I was in camo pants, a t-shirt, no makeup, and flip-flops. And I was sitting there, and I looked at her, and I
for
was
a
like,
network test?
yeah. And I was like, is that what I'm like, maybe they don't, I don't know what I'm doing here, you know what I mean? I'm like, I don't look like that, but whatever. And I was supposed to go in first, and they came out, and she went in before me, which I was like, and I was with my manager, who's now my manager at the time, was my agent back then. And I turned to him, I'm like, is that weird? And he's like, no. He's like, it's fine. And I'm like, okay. So then she comes out, and then I go in and, do the whole thing. And that day I found out that I got it. And later I was talking to Bonnie Turner, who was one of the creators.
Right.
And I'm like, so what was the deal with bringing, the blonde girl in, before me? And she's like, oh, well, I wanted to show them that that's what they think they want, but this is actually what you want. Mm-hmm. And I'm like,
Stack the
and it
deck.
was a total, calculated move. And I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. But I do, like you said, I think that ignorance did serve me well, because I just went in, and this is what Bonnie said. Bonnie said this is what sold it. So I did the audition and whatever, and I was reading with Topher, who plays Eric, and I'm like, all right, cool, is that cool? And they were like, yeah, and I'm like, awesome, and I went like this and stood up, and she said, when you finished your audition, that one movement was so Donna and so perfect that she's like, that was it.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, that's hilarious.
So you had it in you.
So that's, you know what, but their casting was so amazing on that show. Everybody was so perfect.
The chemistry was a little nutty. It was one of those. Like,
It was great.
And the other actors in the thing, I remember through one of the interviews that J-Mac set aside for me to look at was a very early internet Q&A where the audience got to write in their questions and you and Topher were answering them. Mm-hmm. And it was just after the pilot aired. Only the first episode had aired. You guys, in reading your responses, sounded like the fresh scrubbed.
Oh God, we had no idea what was going on.
And it was his first television thing.
Yeah,
also.
well, the reason he was, and this is what's so funny, like when he originally auditioned, the casting director didn't put him through to the next round because she didn't think he was right.
Sure.
Which, I mean, she was a great casting director, but it was just one of those things. She just didn't think he was right and whatever. Bonnie Turner knew Topher because he was in a drama class with her daughter. So she specifically wanted Topher to audition because she knew he was perfect for Eric. And when Topher wasn't at the callback, she's like, where is Topher Grace? And the casting director was like, I didn't think he was right. And she's like, bring him in. He's perfect for Eric, you know? So none of us really knew what we were doing, you know what I mean? But like you said, because of that chemistry, it looked like we grew up together.
Right.
So it was because like Ashton hadn't really done anything, Mila had done a couple things, but me and Topher and Wilmer were like, didn't know what was going on. And Danny was like the vet. He knew exactly what he was doing. And I remember this first party we went to, Danny was flying up from, I think he was in Austin, and he was shooting The Faculty with Josh Hartnett.
Right.
And we were all hanging out. We're like, oh my God, he's on a movie set and he's flying back from this movie. Oh my God. And then, you know, we met him and whatever. And now he's like, you know, my brother.
Yeah.
But at the time we were just like, whoa, what's it like to do a movie, you know?
Yeah.
And it was so funny. But yeah, we were all so green.
Well, because you were so new to the whole experience, in some ways, it's like a perfect first experience.
Oh, yeah.
And in the other way, you're kind of spoiled for life because it was magical.
It was amazing.
Not just the lightning in the bottle nature of the casting, but also of the writing.
Yeah.
You know, those showrunners had been successful before and after, but there was something on that show that, well, it had a hell of a long run. Everyone knows, you know, why it was successful. But it sort of sets you up for while you're doing it. I mean, how many seasons before it even dawns on you, maybe it won't be this easy and this fun?
Yeah, well, the thing that's so cool about that group is nobody took anything for granted.
Right.
I mean, it really was such a great cast. Like, you know, because even though you're on a show that's amazing, you know, there's still other stuff you want to do, like movies and this and, you know, whatever else you want to, directing, you know. And you never get complacent. Like, we do know that it's not easy, especially now. It's hard to, you know, really get on a great show or, you know, a great movie. Or I mean, there's, you know, less material being made.
Right.
There's a lot of actors, you know, so none of us ever took anything for granted, which was really cool. So even when that show ended, we all acknowledged it for the amazing thing that it was.
Good.
And then, you know, we all went off to do other stuff. And, you know, but we were all, we never thought it was like easy or this and that or anything.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, no, it's great. It was a great
Because
group.
then you get to take from it the best things that it can offer, which is this wonderful education
Oh, yeah.
that you can't get other than on the set.
Absolutely. And also with my directing too, we had the most amazing director. His name was David Traynor. He directed every single show except for the pilot.
That's unheard of.
Which is unheard of. I know.
In history.
And he was literally like our father, you know, he was like our ethics presence, he was everything. Like, I just love this man. And all of us, even though we were tight, we had very different personalities. And he balanced all of us so well because he, like, people would suggest stuff or something would happen over here, something would happen over here, and he would just level everybody out so perfectly, which I learned as a director you have to know.
Yeah.
Because you deal with so many personalities and you have to keep everybody on the up and, you know, working well toward this common goal. But you can't make anybody feel invalidated or or crappy or whatever, and he was just so good.
Tender egos.
Yeah,
mixed chemistry.
absolutely. And he was so great at just balancing everything. And I would watch him a lot, and I'd be like, David, you're like amazing. How he would just deal with everyone.
Right.
Because I've worked with directors who can't do all that, you know?
Sure.
And it kind of gets a little rough.
Yeah.
But he was amazing at it.
Have you directed television? Did you direct some of the episodes? No.
70s? No, I never directed it. Because also, the other thing is I would never, David was so amazing, I wouldn't feel comfortable even asking to do that.
But while it was on that show is when you started to get these very strong
Yes.
inclinations that it was something you had to do.
Well, I started directing on this little tiny movie I did in Cullman, Alabama, which was Cullman. I don't know if you guys have ever been there. It's a dry county. From what I recall, it's in the Guinness Book of World Records for the most amount of churches per city block.
Enough said.
I was doing a movie down there with this awesome actor named Brett Harrison, and there was a day where I wasn't working, and I saw this, and I had been on 70s for like, I think a year and a half or 2 years at this point. And I saw this group of guys standing around with a camera. And I went up to the director, who we became really good friends, and I'm like, Rob, who are those guys over there? And he's like, oh, that's the second unit. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm like, why aren't they doing anything? He's like, oh, well, the second unit director quit. And I'm like, cool, well, I'm not working for the next couple days. Tell me what you need, and I'll take him out, and I'll get it.
Holy
and he's
crap.
like, do you know how to direct? And I'm like, of course. No idea. I didn't know, all I knew was I just watched David a lot. And, again, like we talked about, you learn so much by being on a set. I'm like, yeah, dude. I'm like, I got this. So literally he gives me 16 shots. And the next day we jump in the van. And I knew that people had to sign something. I'm like, I know we need some kind of consent form. So I would write my own consent forms on a
Nice.
piece of paper. And we needed like a shot of a guy on a tractor for like the opening credit montage.
Right.
So I'm like, pull over, there's a guy on a tractor. And I ran over and I'm like, we need to shoot you riding by on your tractor. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, sign this. And he signed my handwritten consent form. And we got the shot, and we got all 16 shots. We had to film in a chicken farm. We had to do all this cool stuff.
How much fun.
It was great. And then we got all the shots. Rob saw the dailies, and he's like, that's great. You're the second unit director. And I'm like, cool. So any day I wasn't working,
Right.
they were my crew. And then they were like, if you ever direct, we're your crew. And I'm like, cool. My first short film, they were my crew.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Which you shot back in Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And it was so cool.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I really was like, whoa, this is really something I want to do.
Right.
And ever since then, like, I really, just wanted to know. I feel like I learned a lot being an actor. I know how to talk to actors. And I really wanted to learn the technical side so I could really communicate to my crew and my DP and everything. So that's why I went to a film school while I was on 70s to learn that, because I really wanted both sides of it.
The tech side.
Yeah.
Which film school?
I studied with a guy named Eric Sherman who teaches at Cal Arts and the Art Center in Pasadena.
Right.
And he put me through his entire film curriculum one-on-one. And I did all the tests, the lessons, I got graded, the whole thing.
That's fantastic.
And so I would literally leave work and go to him, and we'd work for 4 hours, and
Right.
it was great.
You were very fortunate to pursue that and take it seriously.
Thank you.
I want to bring in our audience. They have some questions for
Oh, good.
you. You've been on the Twitter now only a month?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay, you're not quite sure what to make of it, I take it.
No, because my friend said that you have to tweet in order to get followers, and I don't know what to tweet. I don't like, hey guys, it's cloudy out. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Don't tweet that.
Yeah, don't tweet
Yeah,
that. Thank
don't
you.
tweet
That's
that.
a good, okay, good to know.
Yeah.
So,
But if you had a question about something and you would normally Google it, I mean, this is like the introductory course for me.
you can tweet that?
You can go, I'm looking for a new camera. What should I, yeah.
Okay.
Sleep take. Get the sleep take card.
All right, I gotta learn this stuff.
But seriously, it's
because
like,
I need a new camera.
it's a community that you can either share funny things with or ask for information from, but that community wants to serve one way or the other. They want to
Okay.
receive good from you, or they want to give ideas and stuff to you.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, it isn't like I had French toast today and it was delicious.
Yeah, like when I read
don't-
that stuff, I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Don't do that. please.
Okay, please don't do that.
Yeah, please don't.
I talk about food a lot. What are you saying?
Well, I take pictures of food and say, this is what I'm talking about, that kind of thing. Then that.
I mostly just send my pictures of food to Corey.
Yeah, see, Corey's where you want to go with your food.
All right, I'll get better at tweeting.
Well, listen, there's an education for you, that's all.
Yeah.
You'll find that it's either a total pain in the ass or an awfully fun thing to do.
Okay.
So some of these questions have come in. Let's see. I told you about the tweet 5, that this or that. We have David Keckner.
Okay.
David Keckner put this together for us.
Oh, cool.
T5 forever now. That's what he was saying just then. So this is from Matthew Rappaport, T5. In terms of Mila, in Forgetting Sarah Marshall or Black Swan? Have you seen the Black Swan?
I haven't seen Black Swan yet.
Hard to really answer the question.
Yeah.
Jersey Shore, guilty pleasure or plight of New Jersey? And
Definitely not a guilty pleasure. I don't watch that. Sorry, guys.
Is that hard for you?
It's look, I tried watching it once, but it's just not. I can't deal. It's not my thing.
Because you're from Watchung, right?
Yeah.
That's not the Jersey Shore, though.
No,
Yeah.
I'm very no. I did not grow up anywhere near the Jersey Shore. I mean, we would go hang out down the shore sometimes, in the summer, but I didn't grow up anywhere near.
I've talked to people even from Jersey Shore, and they said, "Yeah, these idiots aren't represented."
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
it's
no, not at
It's not at
all.
all fair.
I mean, I have friends who definitely, like, I have this one friend in particular from Jersey who's like, oh my God, I was talking to this jabroni. And I'm like, I love you. I'm like, you just said jabroni, and that's awesome. But,
I mean, it's basically Guidos and Guidettes. Is that what they call themselves?
Yes, that's what
Yeah.
Snooki calls herself. A
Right.
Guidette.
So, I mean, it's really of that culture more
Yes.
than anything else. It's almost like it's Italian.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
be really specific. No?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, where I grew up, we didn't really have a lot
Jersey
of that.
Italian.
No, I'm not Jersey. No.
No.
We didn't really. You not. How about near you?
No, I'm North Jersey. I'm
Yeah.
right by the city. It was yeah.
Right, right.
You
I
suburb
feel like
kids.
it's that culture is almost like the New Jersey side right outside of Philadelphia.
It's South Jersey.
It's that South Jersey weird Philly thing. I'm not crapping on Philly.
No,
I'm
I
saying
actually
that
love it. I
Philly-
love.
He's like from
Jersey,
Baltimore
Philly
or
side.
something.
Right.
Yeah.
Pauly D's in Baltimore.
Or
they're-
something.
None
Yeah,
of
like
them
they're
are even
not
from
even
But I
from
love
Jersey.
like hanging out with people from South Jersey because I miss Jersey when I'm out here. So it's nice because when I hear the accent and everything, I'm like, I feel at home,
Right.
But I don't watch the show or they definitely take it to another level for entertainment purposes.
Chrismica holiday, what?
Oh my God. Here, I'm going to start doing the T5.
Chrismica?
Chrismica or holiday time. What do you call this time of year? Holidays or Chrismica?
The holidays.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. And number 4, more fun. Getting to say burn or film. What?
Oh my God.
Well, that's
okay.
got to be 70s show reference.
Okay. What is more fun? Getting to say burn or filming the pot-influenced 70s montages?
I don't know. I guess they're both fun. Maybe filming the montages, I guess, which
Right.
we didn't actually smoke pot on those people. It was all fake smoke.
Right. But it was just as silly and ridiculous as you could get.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. We definitely gave the implication that we were high, but,
It's called acting.
But what's funny is people, come up and often offer me, stuff,
The
and
devil's
I'm
weed.
like, I actually don't do that stuff. It was acting.
Yeah.
But whatever, it's cool. But I'm glad it looks real,
Do you want me to get this?
Let me try this one. More annoying, waiting for the new Hobbit movie or people trouncing your last name over and over and over and over?
Oh, that's funny. I'm used to it, to the last name being tromped on.
Mine too.
But I don't know. I mean, maybe the name thing, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah.
It honestly doesn't really bother me at all. I also don't really mind waiting for the Hobbit movie, so I don't know how to answer that one.
Yeah. I'm trying
Isn't
to,
it kind of falling apart? Or no, it actually got greenlit. They're finding actors now.
Yeah. So why would you be asked about the Hobbit movie?
Not sure.
Okay.
Are you a fan, an active fan of the films?
No, I don't know. Maybe because somewhere on the internet it said that The Hobbit was one of my favorite books.
Ah.
But
Yes,
that's also, sometimes things change, because that was probably something I said when I was like 17.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
So-
just back from Milan.
Exactly.
You read The Hobbit repeatedly to get by,
Exactly.
to survive.
Right.
Okay, so celebrity ghost stories.
Yes.
I love watching this show like crack.
It's a good show.
Like I imagine crack cocaine to be.
It's like watching celebrity ghost stories.
Because I love it so much that when Ileana Douglas said, hey, you know, if you want to do one of these, my friend's the producer or whatever, and they'd love to have you, I actually tried to make up a ghost story so that I could be on the show, and Jamie said, you can't do that.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, when they first
Because you were going to make it up. That's why you didn't have
Yeah,
a
I
story.
admitted that.
Yeah.
Well, the first time when they asked me to do it, I'm like, well, I have a ghost story, but I don't know if it's like good enough to tell like a segment about.
Right.
And she's like, okay, well, tell me the story. So I told her the story. She's like, oh, that's good enough. She's like, that's great. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then I did it, and it was funny to see the actors reenacting it.
It's the reenactment. That's the
reenactment's
crack.
So funny.
That's the crack. Trust me, that's the
Yeah,
crack.
but I
They
thought
make it
they did
real.
a
They
pretty
try to
good
make it all
job.
scary. They're like, dun dun.
Oh yeah,
And the
I
way
thought
they
did a
cut
pretty
it,
job.
camera.
But the girl they cast for like Rachel, because the girl I was in the kitchen with, that was Rachel, and to see the girl the reenactor they cast as Rachel was so funny. But yeah, that story was true, and it was insane. So it was kind of fun to talk about it and see their version of reenacting it.
Every
Right.
time I tune in, it's always Ernie Hudson, which I think is so ironic because I'm like, well, who's he going to call? Zane! But it's true. I always do get the Ernie Hudson.
That was a good one.
You do get
I've been
the
working
Ernie
on that
Hudson. It paid off.
That's good, right?
You've just joined the cast of Castle.
No. That was just for a 1 week thing.
Was it really?
Yeah, because it's weird because there's a lot of.
They kind of made it seem like something bigger.
I know. It's because Castle, Beckett, he follows Beckett around, who's Donna Caddick, who, plays Beckett. He follows her around because Nikki Heat, the girl in his books, is based on Stana.
Right.
So the reason why it's such an important role is because they're making his book into a movie.
And you're the
And I'm
actress.
playing the actress who plays Nikki Heat.
Right.
So I basically go and, follow Beckett around. And they are the most amazing people over there, by the way. I love them. And we had a blast. But people definitely have opinions about it. They take it very seriously, who's playing Nikki Heat.
Well, not only that, but the will they or won't they aspect of the two leads' relationship
Yes.
is that they do and don't want interference from Nikki Heat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Nikki throws a little bit of a monkey wrench in there, but it's a rad role and it was really fun to do. But it's weird. I've never done a 1 week thing on a show where they've made this big of a thing about it. And I think it's because Nikki Heat is such an important part of the story,
Right.
who's going to play her and whatever. So it's been really fun, and I got to wear a brown wig. And it was cool because I've actually been thinking about going brunette, and I got to walk around with brown hair for 4 days.
And how'd you feel?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm still kind of torn a little bit.
Don't do it. Nobody likes us.
The brunettes?
Well, you have red hair.
Well, I've been coloring it red, but I'm a natural brunette, and it's always a pass.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm either going to go back to red or I don't know.
Do the red. That's where it's at.
My hair's getting more red. I'm actually letting it kind of slowly get back to red, but I don't know. Brunette just seems kind of fun.
Nobody likes us.
I've only desired brunettes my whole life.
See that? There's something to be said about that.
I think there's a lot of men who feel that
See,
way.
I'm doing this because, everyone knows I think I'm Christina Hendricks, clearly.
Yeah. You'd like to
But
be.
I wish.
Sammy, you want brunettes.
I'm a brunette man.
You like
Are
the
you?
brunette.
Yeah.
Dr. Chen?
Pink.
Nice. Nicely
Pink's
done.
good.
Way
Pink's
to,
good.
Way to bring it home.
But yeah, so that I just
Dr. Chen
finished
said
right
pink,
before
in case you were wondering.
the day before Thanksgiving. I finished on Castle.
Right.
Yeah.
So that'll be on probably in the January.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be on January 3rd, and then other than that, I actually can't be on another show where I'm a series lead right now because I'm technically under contract.
Are you?
With a different show.
Are you?
Yes, called Awkward Situations for Men.
Seriously?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
And it's a show called Awkward Situations for Men on ABC.
Right.
And I'm not the star.
And
This is horseshit.
And it's so funny. It's great. And we shot a pilot it was a while ago. It was like 7 months ago or something. And the pilot was great. And Andy Ackerman, who directs all the Seinfeld, a lot of the Seinfelds, was our director, and it's definitely got some of that Seinfeld vibe. Awkward Situations for Men, you know. And we shot the pilot, and it was great. And then they wanted to rework some stuff. So now they're in the process. And Tony Hale plays our best friend on it.
Love Tony Hale.
He's amazing.
Love Tony Hale.
Love him. And my husband is played by a guy named Danny Wallace, who he wrote Yes Man, where he went around for a year saying yes to everything.
Right, I heard about that.
Wrote a book about it, and then Jim Carrey, made the movie. And Danny is just this amazing writer, and he created the show based on another one of his books. And so we play husband and wife, and Tony plays our best friend, and it's us getting into awkward situations.
Fantastic.
So, yeah. And we're in the process they're in script revisions right now.
Right.
So contractually I can't be on another show because technically we're doing this show, but I'm allowed to do really great things like Castle and stuff like that.
And you'll have to keep us posted on Nay Bros.
I will.
As the future becomes brighter.
Thank you very much.
And brighter.
I love that show.
Well, it's unbelievably exciting.
Thank you.
And congratulations with it.
Thanks, Kevin.
Honestly. And thanks so much for coming by and hanging out. I mean, I know you can't believe that an hour and 20 minutes went past.
What? Wow. It's 4:20.
And I do realize we ate up 20 minutes of that hour and 20.
No, it's fine. I wanted to hear about everyone's holidays, so that was nice.
That was very convincing. Good job. She's a good actress.
For real. I do holidays in my house. I like hearing about other people's holidays,
Yeah.
There might be a little tip thrown in there. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to do that.
Well, we played Taboo as
We
well,
did.
instead of
Nice.
poker.
We did play a little
Then
Taboo.
everyone
Taboo's
got
fun.
in.
Running charades is fun.
We
Have
like
you guys
the running
played-
charades.
Love running charades.
She's
No?
She's had
Whoa.
No.
Whoa, what's that? You're like, whoa, hold it.
Because he plays with a bunch of people that are very, very, very competitive.
Girl, we get one of my friends tripped and busted her
and they
lip
do
open.
not like newbies.
They do not like newbies. They're a
And
little hard
it's
on the
just-
newbies.
We gotta play because one of my friends literally, it gets pretty heated. She tripped and fell and busted her lip open. Like it gets crazy.
Wow.
We invented fitness charades.
Oh, no.
Where we would put the list far away on the when I had my old house on the other side of the front lawn, and the two teams on the way to the list, you'd have to do some kind of aerobic exercise on the way.
Jesus.
It was hilarious, and people would show up in workout gear, and you don't even know you're working out because it's fitness charades.
That's genius.
And your whole goal is like, I have to get to the list to get the next item.
So everyone's sweaty at some point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I like
great.
all that. I threatened you with the Larry King game. I will
Yeah,
explain
oh,
it one
man.
more time.
I'm nervous.
It's a no-fail situation. Larry, who's in the last year of his tour, it's our bet and our assumption that it's at one point on the air it's going to go horribly wrong, if it hasn't already.
Okay.
He's going to share something about himself that we don't want to know. So I'm not looking for you to share anything about yourself. You really are Larry in this scenario.
You're Larry in this scenario.
Yeah, so I want a bad Larry King impression. Let's see Larry reveal something about himself, and then go to the phone. The name of the city is funny sounding. It's helpful.
If I think of a name with funny sounding city.
Yeah, Saskatoon. Whatever. Maybe there's a place in
Saskatoon?
New Jersey that you might know that's
I think
kind of
there's
funny.
a Saskatchewan.
There is. We've got. Come on. Think of any good New Jersey town.
We've already heard Hoboken.
My town is pretty
Hoboken's
bad.
been taken.
Am
So put those together in order.
God.
That's your camera there when you're ready.
I gonna? And I have to do the impression,
Bad Larry King impression.
and it's just something he reveals about himself.
Yeah. This morning I had pizza. It's
Okay.
anything. It's really just Larry being an idiot.
And then how do I throw the city in?
Hello, you're on the air. You know how he goes to the phones?
So then it's hello, you're on the air from blah blah blah,
Yes.
and that's in the beginning or at the end.
That's the button at the end.
Okay. Oh God. So wait, let me just pause for a second.
Sure.
So I'm just stalling so I can think of something.
That's fine.
So then the end, you say hello, you're on the air, blah blah blah, from the city.
Yeah, this morning I had pizza, San Francisco, hello. That would be a really
Okay.
bad example.
Okay, fine. Do I have to start it with your own, with like Larry King?
Sure, if you want.
Okay.
Yeah, however you want.
Okay. I gotta get this posture.
Yeah, bad posture.
All right.
With all shoulders.
All right. Hello, this is Larry King. Last night I brought a girl home and I whiskey dissed her. Let's go to the phones in Cherry Hill.
You see how funny it got?
Now, do I need to now clarify what whiskey dissing is?
I think it's better if you don't.
Okay, fine.
Because it's much worse in our imagination.
All right, good. Okay, I hope your audience knows what that means.
They're already Googling it.
All right, great.
Can't thank you enough, honestly and truly. And you'll come back and share with us again, please. But it really meant a lot.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Very much appreciated. And good luck with everything.
Thanks,
honestly.
Kevin. You too.
You and
This
the
is
Scott
great.
man.
Thank
It's always
you.
good to have a lady. We don't get many ladies on
We
the
love the
show.
ladies here at the show, and they're elusive. You're not wrong. Hello to
you.
Scott. I'm going to put that out there. Hello to Scott.
Hi, Scott. Yeah,
All
he's
right.
in New York right now, so.
Oh, okay. And when
Thank you.
when I finally host a poker game at the new house,
I'm there.
All right, great.
Oh, son of a bitch. I thought I was
There
going to
goes
win.
Sammy's
Come
money.
back, come on. Sammy, bring those aces back to the
All
poker
right, I
table.
will.
Let's see
I
what
will,
happens.
just for you.
No, I'm just kidding.
All right.
I'll be at La Cabana with Travis and Elaine.
Yes, exactly. All right, so I will wrap things up for this. Sit there uncomfortably while I talk to
No problem.
those ladies and Jews at home. We've got two guesses, I threatened, so we're going to take a little intermission. So don't go anywhere for the intermission. It'll be other Larry King games, including, I think, perhaps some of the fans that shot some of their own, but otherwise it'll be previous guests. In the meantime, for the last hour and 26 minutes, I have to wonder what my crew has been up to, because, you know, I often wonder, are they okay out there? Were they all right? What the hell have they been up to? Mike's not happy. Emily's like, I don't know what the hell your problem
Wait,
is.
look at this camera style.
What's shooting? How's this being shot?
Oh, it's like, I remember this on that very popular sitcom. Oh,
Oh,
that's
see what
how
they
did it.
That's awesome.
They did
Where's the smoke at? There's no smoke.
They did a tribute. I love when they
Thank
do
you,
tributes.
guys. That's awesome.
That is a tip of the hat. We like those very much.
Thank
Speaking of which, thank you, Gurin Brothers, for this particular model. You set me up nicely with my November hat that I waited till December to wear. The wonderful Gurin Brothers, who sponsors once a month with a hat. So thanks for that. So we'll take a brief
You sound
intermission.
like Rod Serling at the end of A Twilight Zone. Ah, Chesterfield.
Yeah, right? I'll smoke myself into the grave. We'll be right back with, well, we'll find out who my next guest is, should you stay tuned.
He's all of the rainbows, but none of the rain. He's dry, but he's an alcoholic. He's hosting this train wreck again and again, and he wears a hat. He's carrying